Hello, good evening. Are we waiting for Frank as well? Is he there somewhere?
There he is.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we there you are, Frank. Lovely.
Yeah.
So I know it'll probably be a couple of minutes before people join us. Because obviously, hi Rob.
Yeah,
So we know the public bit's working. So if there's anybody else that's joining us this evening, please feel free to put a comment on there so we know that you are with us. Like our normal spiritual evenings, is there anybody there? We would like to know if you are, because we do enough talking amongst ourselves, and we really don't want to keep going on to that. We want to have a chat with you as well. Hello, Diana. Welcome. So to anybody that's joining us at Thundersley Christian Spiritualist Church, welcome. It's lovely to be on this evening, and I'm joined by the lovely Chris Gill, Sam Manning, give a wave, Frank White, and in the sin bin is Donna Clements, who will probably be popping up every now and again to make sure we're all behaving. If we're not, we go in the sin bin. So I'm just letting you know. The purpose of this evening was the committee members, which of Sam is one, as well as Chris, Frank, and myself and Donna. We wanted to just do sort of an informal thing. We did rule out loose spirits because we thought might get a different type of audience. But the idea was we had a lovely chat a few weeks ago. Hello to everybody that's joining us. Sandra, Michelle, Sarah, welcome. Because sometimes we have the services and we don't always get to know you, and you don't know how to get to know us really, because it's sort of, you just do the service and you're gone. So we wanted to sort of bring ourselves and what the church is about and just different topics to you, so that you can become more interactive. If you'd like to ask any questions, things like that, then we're here to try our best to answer them for you. It's a way of being very, just an informal way of getting to know you all. And we're just here to have a laugh, to sort of also bring a bit of positivity into the long winter evenings. And I know that so many of you, and myself included, it just seems to be dragging on and on and on. So the Thundersley group, we decided that after we'd done a chat like this with another church and we really enjoyed it, thought we'd try it ourselves to sort of get to know our congregation more, and also those people that have been wonderfully joining us on a Sunday that maybe aren't in our area, that are further afield and would like to come in and to sort of chat with us. All right, so what I'm going to do, the topic for tonight, if we stay on point, is actually about the power of thought and how your positive thoughts can influence your mind, your body, also about sort of the positive thoughts we put out and the thoughts to spirit. So there is so much different ways that can be interpreted. But before we start, I'll go last. So I'm going to let, just thought I'd drop that one in, is that one by one, our lovely church committee are going to just go around for a couple of minutes and just explain who they are, how they get involved in the church, what they do. And just so that you get to know, because nobody's probably seen Sam, who's one of our lovely healers at the church, and like me, he's just recently joined as a committee member. So and because we haven't been able to get together in person, this has been a great way for us as well to all come together to brainstorm ideas for the church. So without further ado, who wants to go first out of you lovely people?
I don't mind. I'll go.
Chris, you go first. Introduce yourself, my lovely.
Okay, my name's Chris Gill. I've been on the church committee for quite a number of years now, although obviously we can't be together at the church formally, but I am a psychic medium, and I serve the church and other churches around Thundersley and Benfleet and a little bit further afield now. I joined the church just really. I was already a medium, but I wasn't really working very much, and I was looking for a church for myself, just to feel like home. Sometimes you just get that real pull that you need to be. I need to be in church. I need to be with other people that are like-minded. And I used to drive up and down Bread and Cheese Hill, living in Thundersley and in Hadley, and I used to drive up and down Bread and Cheese Hill and see the church. I used to go to a little spiritualist church down in Benfleet when I lived there, and I saw the church, and I just walked through the doors one evening, and it's just amazing. I love the energy, I love the people, I love the welcome. It's so laid back, it's so friendly. Everybody just kind of mucks in. You hear Donna say at the weekend, you know, that we all pull together. Nobody takes any fees. There's no hierarchy. Everybody's on the same level. If one person can't do something, someone else will do it. There's no, everybody just works together. I do the evening of spirit when we have people come to the church, and we do like mini readings for like 15 minutes that helps to bring in the funds. And we did the first one. We used to do them at the fire station in Hadley, and we did our first one at the church a while ago now, but it was just lovely. There's so many people came and supported us, and were interested in what we do. Yeah, and I've attended Circle at the church. I've run a course at the church as well for people that are interested in the mediumship side of things. So yeah, apart from that, I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I'm grandmother. Yeah, a bit of everything really. So I'd love to meet some of you when we can open up. I live a bit further afield now, but I still attend the church when I can, and I look forward to it when we can open up and get together. But I hope you enjoy this evening. It's a very very relaxed atmosphere, and we'll see where it takes us. Okay,
we will
over to
indeed,
you.
Chris. We will indeed. And hello to Helen from Australia. Welcome. And I hope it's warmer where you are than we are here, because it's a bit chilly. So, Sam, would you like to go next?
Well, I'm kind of going to follow on from Chris, really. Hello, everyone. It's lovely to see so many people joining us tonight. Very similar to Chris, I was driving up into Bread and Cheese Hill a long time. I kept seeing the church, and one day I popped into the church, and I've pretty much been there ever since. Love it. Like Chris said, it's so warm and welcoming. The team are lovely. The people who serve at the church and the people that attend church, it's just a lovely little community. I sit in Circle at the church. I'm one of the healers, and I absolutely love that. I use spiritual healing as one of my modalities. I also have Reiki that I utilize. So yeah, very holistic and well-being. That sort of thing for me is really being person-centered and looking at how to help people. I think it's amazing, and supported by all you lovely folk. It's fantastic. Outside of the church, I am married with one daughter who's 16. I work in a local voluntary organisation, and I'm their social prescriber. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm really looking forward to tonight. I'm not quite sure where this is going to take us, but it will be where we should exactly all be. So looking forward to it. And welcome to everyone online popping up. I can see you.
I know, I can see.
So
lovely. Hi everybody. We can see all your messages on there. So welcome so much for our first On the Sofa with Thundersley. Sounds very professional, doesn't it? It's probably not, but we feel it is. Well, you know. But thank you, Sam, for that. Frank, would you like to give us a little intro?
Good evening, everybody. I see a few names I recognise down the side there. I'm Frank White. How did I come to the church? Well, nearly 6 years ago now, my wife passed, and I've always been aware of spirit. My grandmother was a medium, and I've had quite a lot of experiences over the years. Then after my wife passed on, I started to get feelings she was around me, and as time went on, I then got feelings that she was not just giving me signs, but she was actually talking to me now and again. So I've started to think, well, I need to be among people who know a bit more about this than I do, and people who can talk to me, give me some advice, guide me where I go next. So I thought, so where do I go? So I thought to myself, well, where else would I go other than Thundersley Spiritualist Church? which I'm aware my grandmother served way back in the 60s as a medium. So I walked in one night and I felt very welcome. I got given a cup of tea and everybody's very nice. Some of the people who've been on the committee a while will tell you on that night, they asked me what I did and what I knew, what I'd done previously. And I remember they still remind me, I said, I don't sit on committees, I don't have titles, and I'm not looking for a job.
And now we can't stop him.
And a year later, I joined the committee. And I'm now the medium secretary, which means I book all your Sunday mediums for the church service and that sort of thing. I chair the service on a Sunday night sometimes. And I just about turn up to everything that's going. So I have got other interests outside. I am a photographer. I do a lot of, when the conditions permit, not this year, a lot of photography. I've got a son and a daughter-in-law and a granddaughter who live in Chelmsford area. And now to reveal the secrets, I am the elusive Silver Wolf who reads cards online. So when you see Silver Wolf online, the secret's now out. You know that's me now. So, and I always feel very welcome here. I don't mind what I do for the church. I'm always very happy when I'm here. I always feel, and everybody says the same, the minute you walk through our doors, you feel this is where you're meant to be. So, over to you, Stacey. Your go.
Oh, my go, right then. Well, hello and everyone coming on there as well. So it seems we've got quite a few joining us, so welcome. My name's Stacey Frost, and I'm also a psychic medium, and I do holistic therapies like past life and colour therapy and meditation, that sort of thing. So sort of a bit of both, really. I've worked for Thundersley Church before, so we're usually doing platform and obviously the psychic nights as well. And this is how the power of thought goes out, because it must have been about a year ago, I said to my husband, I really want to get involved in a church that I really click with and that I really sort of can feel part of. And then all of a sudden, we're doing Thundersley online. And all of a sudden, we're doing coffee mornings. All of a sudden, I'm a committee member. I'm now church secretary. So that is how the power of thought works, you know. Spirit and the universe sort of thought, right, just don't change your mind, because then I have to change it as well. I'm married. I've got 4 grown-up children as well. And yeah, sort of I love doing this work. I sort of have not sort of been affiliated to a church before, because I used to sort of just go in, do the platform or the work, and then you sort of go. But Thunders is actually the one that, and it's true, when I walked in there, it's just got a whole different vibe. And I've got in lots of churches, and there are some that are similar. I know there's people on here tonight, and ones in our area are lovely. But we just clicked, all of us clicked, and I think that's what we needed to make it work. And to push Thundersley Church forward, and the amount of work that they've done online to help keep people connected and together is awesome. I'm sort of mind blown by it, because especially at this time where we're all suffering, we're all worried about the future and things like that. Thundersley have really pulled together, and Rob as well, who's in the background that does all the technical stuff you never see. Donna's husband, he's the one that, without him to put all this sort of thing together, we wouldn't be able to do it. So a big shout out to Rob as well, who's a massive sort of backbone of Thundersley Church. So yeah, we've all come together, and for those that joined a bit later, the idea of this evening is just be really informal, so that you get to know us a little bit more. And it's also like an open forum. So if you do have a question, that's the idea of it, is that you can put a question forward. We will try our very best to answer it for you. It's just really, because sometimes when you watch a service, you want messages, but there's not always a way of being able to sort of maybe ask you know, the congregation or mediums something outside of what you're actually looking at. So this is a way of sort of having different topics. We're hoping to maybe do this once a month if it's quite popular, so that we'll have a different topic and then just see where it goes. All right, so that's the idea. So what we're going to start with the power of thought. So does anyone want to start you know, about the power of thought?
I'll start
okay,
if you like.
Go on then, Frank, you start. So if I get up quick, I'm sorry, I've got 3 annoying cats. I'll be honest, this is what happens on live, I'm afraid. If I have to go and boot them out, please excuse me.
Bring them in. Let them join in.
No. Right, go on then, Frank, you start.
Okay, the power of thought. I think even if you're not aware of it, there are times when you get a thought in your head and you think to yourself, where did that come from? And very often it prompts you to either do something or go somewhere you wouldn't have thought you were going to do. And, you know, I believe very much that is a message comes from spirit. You're perhaps sitting there thinking, oh, what a horrible day out there. I don't know what I'm going to do today. And suddenly in your head, you could sort that cupboard out in the spare room and you think, where's that come from? That's the last thing I want to do. But it is this message coming through. And the power of thought works a lot further than that. I expect all of you at some time or other, you've sat there and thought, oh, I must ring her or I must ring him. And you dial the number and the voice at the other end says, oh, I was just thinking about you. And you think, it's easy to think, yeah, I bet you were. But it actually happens like that, you know. That does actually happen. And also, you know, the power thoughts are a useful tool to use because sometimes you're not quite sure how you want to go about something. You sit and think about it and it becomes clearer in your head for you. There is something going on in your life, perhaps someone said or done something you didn't particularly like. If you reply instinctively, you will perhaps say something they don't like. And you sit and think, and then you think, oh, well, maybe they didn't mean that like that anyway. Maybe it's me that's got it wrong. And so you don't get into the confrontation you thought you would have done. So that's my thoughts. I've got you going. Someone else have a go. Go on.
I'm just going to pick up on something you said, Frank, which I think is really interesting and something we don't necessarily realise when we talk about the power of thoughts. You know, thoughts really are energy. And I think we can validate that by saying if you go or you've seen on TV that people put these caps on, you know, the EEGs, I think they're electrocephalograph hats. Hats, I don't know if it's a hat, but, you know, it can be seen as an actual energetic transaction. So when you are thinking of someone, if someone else's receptor is on to your thoughts, then of course they can pick them up. But sometimes I think we don't validate the amount of energy that we have to share with other people. And you're very right in what you say, that sometimes things that are said or spoken or thoughts, the energy behind that thought should have the energy of love, because love comes from our heart center. And when it's said like that and put out into the world, it is received with the same energy. Even if someone feels pretty pants, you know, on a day they're having a rubbish day, just to say something nice or kind, yeah, I think that is reciprocated. So that is where our thoughts become creative things. So we can change someone's outlook by just using kind thoughts, kind words and actions and deeds. So yeah,
that's lovely. I was going to say, because I've just seen the from Susan about the power of positive thoughts. So I wrote a few notes because otherwise my brain gets scrambled and I forget everything. But one of my, I mean, obviously Tesla is a great one about energy, that if you think of the universe in terms of energy, frequency, vibration, it explains everything. Because really, we're not really physical matter. If you actually take our atoms and sort of divided them up, if they were the size of an apple, there'd be a football pitch between each one. That's how much sort of energetic and void space we have. But there's a lovely, a great scientist called Masauro Emoto, and I do a lot of talking about him in my platforms at times on the addresses. And what he did experiments with water, where he took a glass of water, put it in a church or a religious place, and put like the word "I love you" on it, or gratitude, and then he put on one "I hate you, die." And what he did, he just put those thoughts and intentions to that water glass. So the love, he sent lots of loving, healing thoughts. To the other one says die, he sent lots of horrible thoughts to it. And what he'd done, he'd taken a droplet of the water, like before and after. But the one that had the positive thought going into it looked like a snowflake. The one that had the negative thoughts aimed at it was all misshapen and things, and it, you know, there was no real form to it. So he tried with gratitude, he tried with love, things like this. Now, what are we made of? We are mostly made of water, like our planet is. So when you sort of say about the power of positive thoughts, and that Eastern religion says about being mindful of your thoughts, your actions, and your words, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's right. Because if you put out there negative things, the universe will meet like for like, so you get that back. If you're putting out positive thoughts, and this is why, what do we do, especially us ladies? We're always putting ourselves down. You know, we always say, oh, do I look right? You know, and most of us at some point have thought, have we, you know, done that right? Are we worthy of doing this? I don't feel good enough. So all the time, those negative thoughts are going into your body. So it's not just about thoughts to other people, it's about your body as well. So imagine what that's doing to those cells. You have a scientist that's proving that the water in your body changes molecularly to your thought process. So this is also, because I do hypnotherapy as well, it's why hypnotherapy does work. 21 times a day, you repeat an affirmation for 21 days. It changes your mindset. So although you might not think of it straight away, after a while you'll start to feel better. At the moment, and it's a very good point, Susan, that we've got so much negativity on the television and worry and anxiety at the moment. I'm feeling it, and I have to keep literally telling myself, come on, you know this stuff. Go and get a book or something online, you know, like a workbook about positive thoughts. If you can't focus on it and there's nothing you can get on the television that's going to help you, get a book and do a workbook, work through it. Even if you can't meditate to start with, because what it does, it gets those thoughts out of here onto paper so that there is room for positive thought. But remember, our body is our temple, all right? So when you look after it, it is your responsibility to feed it well, to nourish it well. But that's not just with what you put into your body, it's also the thoughts that you put into your body. And also, like with the protection as well, of making sure that your space is clear, that you don't have anybody, because like Frank said about, you know, when you think negatively sometimes, or you think, have I said something not particularly nice? This is up to you to sort of monitor your thoughts. You can't change what other people think, that's their business, but you can start with yourself, and it definitely does work. Because also look at plants, you know, when old Prince Charles, he talks to his plants, I talk to mine. If you talk to them, because the water molecules are in there as well, it goes into the plant, and you're also telling that plant that they're beautiful and things. So try it. I'm not so nutty. Go.
Okay, there's a gentleman on here, David Young. Hello, David. His question was, could thought be connected to gut feelings when you feel somebody needs your help, but if you think too much instead of acting on that feeling, it could be too late? I must say, David, I very much have learned over the years to trust my instinct, yes. And you may have that thought in your head. I never used to always, you know, being a busy mum, and I was working, you know, like lots of people out there. We have 101 things going on in the day normally, you know, when we're not shut down in our homes. We have 101 things going on, and sometimes you just get that feeling, oh, I must give so-and-so a ring, or somebody's, you know, a person in the family or a friend or something comes to mind, and we haven't acted upon that and followed it up. And I'm very much in tune with that now. You know, I've learned to just recognize all my feelings and emotions and everything. And I know that if I get that thought in my head to call somebody or get in contact with somebody, then I do instinctively. I do that now. So yes, I would say definitely what goes on, your thoughts in your mind, actually, or in your tummy, that funny sort of tummy feeling. Definitely, it's all linked together. All our systems are all linked. I used to be, well, I still am. You don't ever stop being a therapist once you're a therapist. I trained in aromatherapy, and I studied anatomy and physiology for 3 years, and ended up being a tutor. So yeah, everything is connected. All our systems in our body are all, one relies upon the other, relies upon the other. So it's all about balance. But you can actually only have one thought in your mind at one time. So it's training your mind to focus on something that's positive and not stick with a negative thought. And I know that's more easily said than done with what's been going on for all of us. And we do, me included, have days where you just think, you know, for goodness sake, I want to get out of here. I want to do something different. I want my life to be much better than it was before, and you know, see people and things. But thoughts as well can be processed by just in a really simple form. You know, that athletes have thoughts about their competitions. You know, they visualize things, and if they can say, like, you've got a long jumper that would do say 4 meters, they can jump 4 meters, and then they visualize, and all they think about and see in their mind, they project it, that they can actually jump 4.5 meters. You know, that thought is there, that thought is in their head, that they can do this, it's possible, they can do this. And so they go over it and over it and over it, and in their mind they can see themselves doing it. And so therefore, when they go out and they do their practice jumps, that's how they improve, by thought, and putting those thoughts into actions. And that goes the same for, like, if you think about children at school. I mean, I, for one, didn't have a very good time at school. In fact, I thought it was the worst days of my life. But with my grandchildren, I always say to them, do you know, you can be anything you want to be. You can do and achieve anything you want to do. Because I was told for years that I couldn't do this, couldn't do that, you know.
Yeah, that's about your limiting beliefs, though, isn't it, Chris?
Exactly, yes.
And they are given to us, and we don't even question them. And I think sometimes we have thoughts in our heads, and they aren't friendly thoughts that we offer to ourselves. We're not kind to ourselves. You know, today I dropped something, and in my head, I said, "You stupid fool." If someone in the street said that to me, I would be mortally offended. So I think sometimes even just inviting curiosity about the thoughts that we think, thinking, is this something I would say to somebody else? And if I did say it, how would it be received? You know, physical pain is an indicator that our body has something wrong with it, you know, a disease or an illness. But that emotional feeling we get is an indicator that something in our mental process isn't correct. It's not heart-centered, and we need to be thinking, okay, is this something that's going to support me? How to regulate our thoughts is a real challenge. And I have been kind of checking in with myself. And this is a lovely little tool, and I'm picking up with what you said, Stacey. It's like having a daily mental diet. You cannot regulate every single thought that you have. It's impossible. You cannot stop negative thinking. They jump in. What we can choose to do is not accept that thought, witness the thought, and actually say, okay, I've seen that thought. Is it useful? It's not. I'm going to let it go. But those thoughts will continue to come. And like you said, after 21 days of building up a mindful practice of doing that, it suddenly becomes a new pathway in our brain. It's supported by science. It's you know, neurological pathways that we use day to day are there because we've repetitively gone down the same path, even though sometimes thorns jump in on that path and hurt us and really are wounding. We still choose to do that, but we have the choice to say, today I'm going to choose something different. To self-regulate means that we need to check in with ourselves every now and again and say, hold on a minute, that's not supporting me.
That's right.
What could I think? How can I choose a better thought? Or even acknowledging that we're having a non-supportive thought is just so powerful. The awareness that we could choose different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to Dave's comment about the gut instinct as well. What science also knows is that the gut is like another brain in the body. It has more connections, you know, than our brain, the gut and the heart chakra as well, our heart system. So the thing is, we automatically go on our logical mind, but actually where we should be going from, like you said, is the heart and the gut center, because your gut, it interacts with you. So if you have a gut instinct moment where you think, actually, this doesn't feel right, it's because that brain working system in that part of your body is activating.
Absolutely.
I know what you said about Dinah as well about it is easier said than done. And my thoughts is, when you're having a depressive day, and to be honest, I think this is why we'd like to do this evening, because there's so many people out there that are needing this right now. Just a chat informal, is that sometimes we have to accept that our body needs healing. And we're so much thinking, oh, we must exercise, we must do this, and we've got so much to do. You might be working, you might have to, you know, look after children. There's all the homeschooling going on. There's worry about if you've got a job, haven't got a job. All these sort of constraints for the future, especially at this time. And it's hard to sift through them because you're bombarded all the time with these thoughts. But what we need to do is actually, your body, when you go into that depressive state, usually it's because you're worried. One, they say depression is about focusing on the past, and anxiety is about worrying too much about the future. So sometimes we have to bring it back to the now, and this is where mindfulness comes in. At this moment right now, am I okay? If you want to go and hide under the duvet all day, if your body feels it needs to do that, that is what it needs to do. Because emotions like depression, they are a way we feel physical pain. This is a mental pain that our body feels when it needs healing time. It needs TLC, because really we've pushed ourselves too hard. We've got too much stimulation, we've got too much stress and anxiety. And with our flight or fight response, some anxiety, some stress can be good for our body because it raises our immune system. So adrenaline kicks in. But when we have a short amount of it, it's okay for the body. But we as human beings are existing on fight or flight 24/7. And our bodies can't cope with it. This is why you're seeing even the youngsters have got an epidemic of anxiety and depression at the moment, because there is just too much going on, because they don't know how to be bored. They don't, because and the creativity is lost. And we just have to bring it back to ourselves a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of a chance, TLC. You are investing in yourself. When I said earlier about your body as a temple, it is. People take so much from you outside as well. All those negative thoughts and feelings from other people, circumstances you can't control. But you can control what you're doing with your own life. Like Sam said and Chris said, you can control that up to a point. Forget everybody else. You have to learn to work on yourself. And actually, it's about, when we say self-centered, it's a very misunderstood concept, because we think of automatically being selfish. It isn't. And so what if you're selfish for a little bit of time? Because to be honest, most of us give so much to other people. We don't know what selfish is. But self-centered is about knowing the self inside. It's about knowing your needs, your loves, your wants. And it's not wrong to actually say to yourself, I deserve these. I'm a good person. I'm a good human being. I'm a spiritual being, and I deserve to heal myself first. Because as we know, if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else. So don't worry about if you depression is not something you can just shake off, but it's something what you can do is work towards feeling, say, more balanced, more at peace, recognizing a good day. And that is by finding ways that you feel would work for you. So I mean, I've got a book out recently where it's like little it's called, I think, Light is the New Black, and I have to sort of put it online, and it's just very short little bits about this lady's journey, and then you have like little sections of like asking how you feel. So there's so many books out there on these types of topics. Just get one and work through it at your own pace. And it's a start to understanding your own thoughts and feelings.
I was just going to say something, Stacey.
Yeah.
You said, I was going to say, sometimes we don't often actually know how we feel. We feel, the first thing we will say, I feel angry.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that that's true, because don't always believe what our thoughts tell us, because our thoughts might tell us something. Our instinctive reaction is to react and not to respond. And sometimes our thoughts can tell us stuff, and we think to ourselves, is that, we assume it to be true. But actually, sometimes our thoughts are incorrect, and they're selling us a story, a narrative, something that isn't actually factual. I do it all the time. Sometimes I think that person is thinking something about me. I don't know what they're thinking. How do I know what they're thinking? And I go around thinking, oh, she doesn't like me because she looked at me. Why?
Yeah, you're right.
Because then I'm challenging myself. It's what I'm feeling about me, and not what she is feeling about me, or what that person is feeling about me. So I think also the awareness of sometimes look at our thoughts, because our thoughts don't always tell us the truth. They can be our best friend. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can be our best friend and soothe us and regulate us, but they can also bring in that mind chatter. The monkey mind jumps in, and then we've got the yada, yada, yada. Negative thoughts love nothing more than more negativity. And having that mindset, it's not easy to change. But you can start slowly. Just set yourself one little goal a day, just one thing, invite a little bit of kindness into your day by saying, today I am going to do 2 minutes of whatever that thing is that you love, and do it wholeheartedly, just to give yourself a break from those thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Susan is asking about fight or flight. Sorry, Frank, and then I'll let you.
I was just going to say, going on from what Sam's saying, your thoughts actually can be your own worst enemy. It's your thoughts that stop you. You can sit. It can be as simple as you're watching this tonight and you're thinking, I'd like to do that, and then the little voice up here says, who do you think you're kidding? You can't sit on a camera. You can't talk to loads of people out there. Sit yourself down, and you talk yourself out of it. And actually, if you was to be bold and have a go, you might actually find you're better than all of us at it. And you didn't know that. And I look at it, I can sit in front of the camera, I can talk, so can everybody else. All you need is to get rid of the little thought in your head and have the courage to have a go, isn't it?
So going back to Susan, just the fight or flight quickly, in case you wasn't sure. Fight or flight response is like our it's an ancient part in our body. It's our system, our survival mechanism. So when we are in a say, for example, when we're in our hunter-gatherer times, not going around Primark. That's gone now. But when we were sort of like chasing after our dinner, or you were in a situation where, sometimes somebody's sort of fronted up to you and you get that sort of adrenaline spike, it's either you run or you stand your ground and fight. That's what the fight or flight is. It's a survival response that we all have that goes back to our ancient past. But what happens is we need it for certain situations that are maybe unpredictable, but they're usually few and far between. It was just like a spoke. Sometimes when, like the Hulk got his rage on when he needed to and pushed the car or something. This is what we get, is that we get a spike of adrenaline Haven't gone green just yet, but there's
I was
always
going to say, I'm waiting for you to go green in a minute.
there's always time. So what we do, we either stand our ground and freeze like animals.
Or else run.
You know, that we're like the animals, they might freeze when there's a predator around, or they'll just run off the other way. But what happens is our fight or flight response, where it's meant to be used intermittently, is on all the time now because of the stress we live in. And so that's what that is, and that's what brings our system down. So sorry, carry on. Any more questions?
Okay, there was one here. Jan was saying we are human beings, not human doings.
Yeah.
It's okay to just be. I thought that was a lovely thing to say, and it's very true, Jan. We are. Why can't we just be happy to be and do nothing, just to be? You know, I worked for about 6 years in mental health, and worked for a charity that had people who suffered severe and long and enduring mental health problems like schizophrenia and manic depression and things like that. And the thing that I think shocked me most of all when I first went to work there, mental health was a new sort of branch of something new that I was going into. I'd always been in the caring profession in different areas, but mental health was something that I hadn't experienced before, and so I'd applied for this job anyway. Went for it and got it. And when I was meeting some of the people that used to come, we used to run like drop-in centres in and around the area where I lived, and so people that came out of hospital or people that were suffering with mental health problems used to come and spend an hour with us or 6 hours with us. You know, we used to work 7 days a week, all through the holidays and everything else like that. But when I first went there, and people, you know, met some people that used to use the service, and the first thing they would tell you is their history. You know, this happened to me when I was 4, and when I was 6, this happened to me, and this happened to me at such and such an age, and then this happened to me at that. And they're now 43 years old and still living as if what happened to them, the experiences they had, were like today. And I found that so sad, so sad. And I always said that I wished, instead of having centres for people that were, you know, older, like from anything, well, we took people from any age, really, from the age of 18 right up until 70. So anybody could come along once they were referred or referred themselves to the service. But I thought, what would it be to get younger people that were struggling, you know, because I think that you could help them more. By the time they get to be 40 or 35 or 65 or whatever, they've lived that. They've never been able to get those thoughts, those memories, or to change their patterns. That's, to me, like, it's a pattern of life. And that comment there, where it was just to be, to stay in the now, to think about today, deal with today, because you can't change yesterday, and you certainly can't do anything about tomorrow because it becomes today. So our thoughts are, you know, they become our reality, don't they? Our thoughts become our reality.
Do you know what? Without being too esoteric or too woo-woo, I just want to pick up on something that Marta just said. Absolutely. You know what? Thoughts are magnetic. So whatever you put out, whatever energy you put out, if it's negative or positive, you will get the same back. So that's really interesting that you have said that, Marta.
It's about like energy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like the universe draws. 100%. So if you say I'm skint, the universe goes, oh, you
got no money. Well done. That's exactly what you want.
That's why people that always seem to get money spend it. Money. Because also what they do is they don't worry about how they're going to get it.
It just comes to them.
Because they just know it'll come.
So with a really nice non-woo-woo, but I love woo-woo, you know, thoughts becoming thoughts becoming things. I kind of deconstructed that the other day, and I thought, well, actually, things were once thoughts. So I'm going to just give you an example. Just look around your room, whatever you can see, you know, this mouse, the chair that I'm sitting on, the chairs that you're sitting on, they are now chairs. At one point, it was just a thought of a chair. So that is how, in the material world, things were once thoughts. So everything has to start off with the process of a thought, and the creative energy that goes behind that puts the impetus on it being positive or negative. So it's so important to be aware of the energy that we put into those thoughts, because they do eventually, our thoughts of today are going to be the seeds of whatever grows tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Well, it's like mind over matter, isn't it, as well? Because when we sort of think about mind over matter, you know, how many times have parents said to you, oh, you know, that sort of actual term, and you don't give it much thought, to be honest.
no,
But actually what it's saying to you is that thought came first. So as we know
absolutely.
as healers, and there might be some of you out there that have sort of done healing work and stuff like that, so know more about the body and how the energetic system works, is that the idea is that our physical ailments are caused by the stress of the thoughts that we carry. Because we don't deal with them at the time when our body gives us, or our mind gives us, that warning of, oh, I don't feel well today, or don't worry, I'll just dose up and carry on. What
Yeah,
happens
absolutely.
is
It's a signpost,
it
isn't
starts
it?
to deteriorate on the outside. So it's not that your body hurts first and then you think, ouch. This is a process of you not looking after your body through your mind system and your thought system.
Mm.
So I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I kind of almost feel that we are in a state where, a situation, not a state, where we go to the doctors and say, I've got a headache, and we just want to get a pill to fix that up. But actually, it's not really it's not the headache that we want to unpick. It's why we have the headache.
Exactly.
And I think, like you were saying earlier, Stacey, that the body temple is so receptive to energies around us, but we've discounted our intuition. When we were a child, if you had a thought or a feeling, you know, if you walk into a room now and someone's been arguing, you know, they've just been arguing, you know that. But over years, we kind of suppress the intuitive state so that it doesn't become part of our regular foundation to check in with ourselves. What do we feel, and actually which self are we talking to today? Because there is the thought self that we assume is us, but we can't have a thought and witness a thought. So we are two people. So we've got a really clever, smart prefrontal cortex that does all the human processing, and then we've got our little crazy chimp, and my crazy chimp jumps out quite a lot. But I'm now aware that I've got a chimp, because before I just thought that was me. I was like, that's me. But it's not me. That is me at my lowest format. You know, that is me being in my survival mode, you know, reacting to what I feel could be a potential threat, that you know, my survival is really at risk now. So again, I think that's something to think about. Who is the I that I'm dealing with at the moment? Which self is it? Is it my self-critic, or is it my self-cheerleader?
Yeah.
Because I think we all need to soothe that little monkey and be more of our cheerleader every day. We're not going to have a great day every day. We're not even going to, you know, just from moment to moment, things change constantly. And being in that flow state to be able to say, okay, this isn't the best version of me, but I know I can have a choice and change that. It's important. I think awareness for me is key, and choice and choosing. And if you make a bad choice, so what? Choose again. It's limitless. You know, we've got millions of choices. Choose again. In any 1 second, choose again. Pick something else.
That's right. And I think this is it. We get so focused on one thing that we think that we can't change our perception. We can't change the ideas that we have, but we can. Remember, you're always in control. The thing that I think we've been told over the years is that you have, it's like we've been conditioned to think that you have to do this right. You're never allowed to make mistakes, you know, and even when you're children, don't do this, don't do that. I used to dream a lot when I was a kid, almost at the age of 5, I could remember my dreams. And because obviously you're going to your parents saying, oh, I've dreamt this. Oh, it's just your imagination. Or ta-da, on platform, it might not have been, you know. Now when I look at it, Chris, I don't know if you had the same thing, Frank. You know, when you've got people chatting to you in your dreams and things, because that's the only way they can talk to you at that time, because you're relaxed. But we've been conditioned that that things have to be logical. But sometimes our logical brain is not. We've got to start learning from this and realizing that we have a freedom within us to change things. What you put out is what you get back. Sometimes it takes time. But what I'd say to you is look for synchronicity. It's a good exercise to start with your power of thought, I think. So I don't know if anyone's read the Celestine prophecy. The first prophecy, starts with synchronicity. And that is about, it's like what we call like little omens, things like that, things that coincidences. So if you, for example, say, oh, when we're allowed out to exercise properly, I really need a yoga class. And all of a sudden a leaflet comes through the door of somebody that's going to start up a yoga class. That is synchronicity. Start looking at these things because you'll realize that your life does actually have a pattern. And when you notice that there's a pattern in it and things that your thoughts can actually, you've put that thought out, like Frank said earlier, when you think about wanting to speak to somebody on the phone and all of a sudden they've rung, that's because there is no limit with energy. Energy is, you cannot destroy energy and it cannot dissolve. All it does, it changes from one form to another. That's why with the spirit world, when our physical energy, our physical overcoat passes, that is why our spirit self, the lighter energy, the high vibration energy still exists because you can't destroy it. So, but I just think I just wish everybody really sort of, and it's so great that you're on here, starts to put some of these things into practice because a great book to start with Louise Hay, How to Heal Your Life. Because what she does, she wrote a book, I don't know if you've read it as well, guys, about how the mind works, the fears that you have. And most of our ailments and things come from fear and sort of insecurities and feeling of not worthy. Yeah, you've got a copy as well. You can heal your life. And you can go in there, there's a section on the back, in the back of what ailment that you've got and what part of the body is blocked through that. And then it gives you an idea. So, for example, if you have sinus problems, that's because someone around you is irritating you, not just because you've got a cat. Because somebody around you is irritating you. It's, if you sort of think things get on your nerves. So you might find if you've got back pain, depending where the pain is in the back, dependent on if it's a physical, if it's lack of support, if it's lack of financial support, lack of emotional support. So all these things in your body is a roadmap to your feelings, but you've got it the wrong way round. Rather than thinking, oh, I feel ill, you should be exploring your mind and that thought process to say, what is my body going through? What am I blocking in my body? What am I not allowing to express myself? So remember
what Rose Dennis has said there. I think that's so sorry to.
Oh, that's fine.
There, yes. But the psychosomatic disease.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I think where we are in our current point in history, we are quite a long way down the road, and it's not what we need to learn. It might be a bit about what we need to unlearn. So if we are now unlearning it, we're now sharing those wisdoms with our younger generation. So hopefully that will kind of get into their frame of reference, which will mean that they will start to, have a healthier foundation of mental health well-being, because all health starts within, the body temple of your mindset. So yeah, thank you for that, Rose. I think it's really useful because we do get headaches, and sometimes we do have pain, but it's indicative of something that's
going on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd just like to say, as I say about Louise Hay, something that all of us could do, and things that I've done at times, is the affirmation cards. Sometimes when we're at home, especially these, this last year, I set up a page on the Thundersley church page about showing gratitude. It was something that came up in the Sunday service, I believe, and I talked about being grateful for the small things, And when you start thinking every day, okay, so today it's pouring of rain, you know, what am I grateful for? I don't feel very warm, the central heating is not working or something. So what can I be grateful for? And it's focusing your mind, having those thoughts about what is positive, you know, that I can make a casserole, I can eat something really lovely and warming, stick a bit of curry powder in it, and you know, there's lots and lots of things. But affirmation cards work really well, and you don't even have to go and buy them. You can just put some thoughts down on cards and just turn them over. Just cut some out, some ordinary cards, you know, off of the cereal box or anything really, and just write down some really positive things. And they can just be simple things, you know, like to be honest, I've just bought a new duvet. You know, we can't go out and spend any money, so I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, buy some new bed linen. And I bought a lovely duvet, and it just feels so soft. I've slept like a log, don't usually, but yeah, just little things. So things that you can be grateful for. The fact that, you know, that you've got a cat or a dog that's a companion, or you've got, you know, the snowdrops coming up in the garden, or the daffodils are just about to come out. Little tiny things that you can be grateful for. And the affirmation cards is like, I am a good person, you know, I am feeling good today, or, you know, I'm loved. Everybody is loved. You must be loved by somebody, by lots and many people. So there's lots of things we can do to kind of change our mindset a little bit. That doesn't cost anything, as I say. It's just the power of thought. And if you keep telling yourself, you know, that you are a good person, that you will feel better, and you can cope with this, then you will. You will.
I think as we're going back to Masauro Emoto, I was talking about the water molecules earlier, what he's talking about, Chris, you know, a bit power of thought with gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most, not so much spiritual, but powerful, pure thought intentions. So I have a little book sometimes, or I go over it in my head just before I go to sleep. I'm grateful for, and it could be something small. I'm grateful for I've had a calm day today. I'm grateful for the fact I've got food in my belly. I'm grateful for the fact that we can share and do these sorts of evenings. Even little things. I'm grateful that I had a better day today, because for some people a small thing is a giant leap. Remember, you haven't got to go extra miles. It's small steps. But the water crystal itself for gratitude is really beautiful. So if you're thinking that, and be grateful for yourself as well. Be grateful not for what others just do for you, but what you do. I'm grateful that I'm here to look after my kids. I'm grateful that I've got a job to protect. I'm grateful that I'm looking after myself. And anyway, Dave has put a question on there, so I don't want to start this. Not going too deep. Is there such thing as a subconscious thought?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there definitely is.
For another
There is.
therapist.
In my mind, yeah, definitely there is.
David,
go on then, Craig.
Go ahead. I'm going to get a little book.
It was once said to me, explained to me, when you go to bed at night, your conscious mind goes to sleep. Your subconscious never ever sleeps. It is there all the time, like a background running. And that is why sometimes you wake up in the morning and think to yourself, I need to do that. And you think, why have I woke up and thought of that? Well, that's been implanted in your subconscious during your sleep. So that when you wake up, it flicks a switch and plays it back to you as it was, you know? So I would say, yes, definitely. The subconscious doesn't sleep.
No, never switches off. 95% of our day is run from subconscious programming, believe it or not. Incredible. David, if you've got some time, and if we do start a book club, this is amazing. Is it coming up there?
Is it
3 magic words?
Okay.
And that talks about universal subconscious mind. Amazing. So it's a very interesting topic. If you've got some time, that's a good one. Another good book to look at is Joseph Murphy, The Power of Subconscious Thought. I went to my bookcase. I can't find it at the moment, but that's an excellent read. If you're thinking about subconscious programming, fantastic. Again, subliminally, subconsciously, we take in over 10 billion bits of information a second. subconsciously. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yes, the answer is it's a whole other topic. So thanks for that.
So Corey, sorry, you said, how do you deal with something bad that happened a long time ago, but you never saw it, but it did happen? Sometimes, obviously doing hypnotherapy, what Sam was saying about the subconscious mind, and Frank, is that if you imagine your mind or your brain in, say, 3 parts, your conscious mind is things that you newly learn. So if you learn to drive, then you have to engage that part of your mind to learn a new skill. The subconscious, that's why I say about 95% of our day is run on subconscious, because like breathing, once you've learned to drive, it's automatic. You know, you don't think about the process. But in between the front and the back of your consciousness, there's a little thing called a critical filter in the middle, conscious critical filter. And what it does, when you're awake, so things like when you have something that happened years ago, or a childhood memory, or even if you had programming when you was younger. Say, for example, you was told you were stupid from a young child. Oh, you're stupid, you are. So as we know, our mindset is usually ingrained by about the age of 5 or 6. That's when our pattern behaviour, that's why it's so important that our childhood years are dealt with lovingly, because it's so much damage is done in that first sort of few years. But what happens is, when you get older, if someone then says to you, no, but you're really clever, because that your conscious mind or your subconscious by now has stored in, because the subconscious only knows things as the truth. It doesn't know the difference between a lie and the truth. So everything that goes into it becomes a truth. So your truth is, I'm stupid. And somebody tells you, no, you're not, but you know you are, because that's what your subconscious tells you. This is where changing the mindset, when you relax and do things like hypnotherapy or meditation, that critical bit in the middle is the bit that sort of argues, like we were saying earlier about like with your monkey mind saying, it's sort of like one thing and then your other bit trips in. What it does, because it doesn't, you start arguing with yourself and disagreeing, you then get confused. When you relax and meditate or have hypnotherapy, because that critical part of yourself, it relaxes enough. That's why the suggestion, hypnotic suggestion, can go straight into the subconscious mind. And that's how repetition changes your mindset and your patterns. That's why if you can do affirmations and things, that does help. But you have to remember, when you're a child, you will see things, or even if you don't know something that happened, you will never know whether it truly did, because you're not there. You might have people's take on it, but that is only their perception. It's other people's perception. It's not your perception. So sometimes if you've had something happen when you're a child, and then you've gone back into like a hypnosis, and you go back into that childhood part of your mind, remember, children see things very differently as well. So if you've got a parent that's maybe shouting all the time, or shouted in a situation, the child might not know why they've done that, but all they know is they have now perception of that parent that is just always shouting. The fact that they might be stressed, the fact they might have lost their job, the fact that the marriage might be going down the toilet, doesn't come into that child's mind, because it's about perception. If you have something that you don't, if you wasn't there and you're taking, because obviously I don't know, Corey, what your situation is, darling, but if you're taking on things that you do not 100% know, because it's other people, it might be something that is outside of your remit of what happened to somebody else, or whatever the situation was. What you're doing is you're then taking on board a lot of stress on yourself, I feel, on things that you cannot be certain of, and that must put you under a lot of pressure. So you can't go into the mind to find that, because if you didn't see it, it isn't there, because it's not your mind that it's in. So you know, it's very difficult, because if we say you how to deal with something, you never saw it, it's hard, isn't it? Because it'd be the people that it did happen to, they're the ones that have to deal with things, and maybe you have to deal with the trauma in a different way, from a different viewpoint. It's difficult, because obviously this is an open forum, so I wouldn't want to get too personal here with what's going on, because obviously everyone can see it. But you know,
I think that might be a nice topic for another time about forgiveness and the power of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to forget it, but it's about the allowing and letting it go. I think there's a nice comment from Wayne Dyer where he says that no one ever died from a snake bite. It's the poison that goes into your system that actually takes you down eventually.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is a very powerful tool. So, you know, if you can offer yourself kindness, Corrie, and just allow to release it, then that would be at least the first step to becoming that healing part for you, so that you can heal some of your own hurt. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to forgive those people, but we have to release it. So
especially
I think
you put on there about your children, so it might be that they need something to help them if they haven't already. But sometimes it's the guilt we feel, isn't it? I don't know if you understand it well, is that when something happens, really it's out of our control, that we might not have been there, we might not have seen it, but as a parent, you feel responsibility. You feel like you should have protected them. You felt like, you know, you should have been there. So sometimes it's the guilt also that, although you haven't done it, whatever it is, it's you still take that on because you are the protector of your family. So it's a lot, I think with you, Corrie, there's lots of different things going on, isn't there, darling? So it's very difficult to sort of on here and without a detailed description to get to the bottom of it. But I hope some of the comments have sort of helped you a little bit. Sorry, Chris, you were going to continue.
I was going to say, something that Sam said about letting things go. I think that's a huge thing. To if there's things that happen like to all of us, and our thoughts, you know, we go over it and over it and over it in our mind, and you know, you kind of question, if I'd have done this or if I'd have done that, perhaps this would have happened, or perhaps that there would have been a different outcome. But our mind and our thoughts play on that, and then you have this whole scenario. I used to say to people, you know, when I was doing my therapies, if you can't change it, you can't ever go back. I can't take back one word that I've said tonight. I can't take it back. I've said it, it's gone. So all I can do is concentrate on the now. So if you can't change what's happened, it's only how you react to what's happened. We can't change what's been said to us or what's been done to us. But what we can do is change how we react to what's been said or done to us. And I hope that helps anyway, because as I say, you can't change anything. The more times you go over it, and you know, it's a bit like, I'm not undermining one bit for whatever you've witnessed or whatever you've gone through. I'm not undermining any of that. But what I'm saying is, it's like Chinese whispers. You start off with one thing, and by the time it's gone all the way around the room, and it's spoken at the end, is a totally different sentence to what started off with. So the more times you have this conversation in your mind with your own thoughts going over the same thing, it's probably got altered or changed, or a little bit's been left off or added onto. So, as I said, for me, I find that if I can't change things, then it's either accepting things as they are, or just deciding, if you can't do anything about it, just to let it go. Because why would you want to drag it? As I said years ago when I worked in mental health, these young people, you know, things happened to them when they were young, and here they are in the middle of their life, 35, 45 years old, and they're still living what happened to them, what they witnessed, or what they went through when they were 4 years old. They've dragged it like a ball and chain through all those years. And to me, that's you know, that's not right. That can't be right. You need to deal with it and decide what to do with it. And control your thoughts, and just say, that's it, I've had enough, I can't solve this, let it go, let it go.
Things will. Frank, you got anything to add on that as well?
What I would say is on Chris's final points there, what it comes down to is you perhaps initially see it as an observer, but if you keep churning it over in your mind, you then become not the observer, you become the victim. And that is why you can't deal with it. Somebody explained to me once, the mind is like a computer disk, or if you're a bit older, a filing cabinet. Everything that's ever happened in your life is stored away up here somewhere. And when you come across an incident or something and you think you've recalled a time in the past, that's exactly what is happening. It's as though your mind goes back through the files and pulls out the time before and looks at what you did then in order to deal with what you're doing now. And that's why you get a lot of this recall from the past, because it is a way of helping you deal with what was in the past by looking at what you did last time and hopefully thinking, well, I'll do it a bit different this time. And that, I feel, is important.
I think as well, because obviously Colin's put on there as well quite aptly, because obviously Chris, you would have experienced this, and Frank as well when you've done readings. I know I have. Is that the amount of people that have passed a spirit that we work with, and sometimes they have a person that you're giving their information to on the earth plane, who really don't want it sometimes, but all they want to do, because they get a different perspective. When you go to the spirit world, there's a talk of like you have a life review, not to be judged, but to judge your actions, because obviously this is a school down here. We're all learning, we're all trying to evolve our soul and our spirit. But those people that maybe have done things that they felt need forgiving, they take that with them, and then they're hoping to come through to their loved ones and set it right. And that's what I say, sometimes these things need to be let go or resolved, I feel, as much as you can when you're on the earth plane, because to go and not have issues resolved, and we know that our lovely spirit friends sometimes they come through, and we get emotional as well when sometimes they come through. You can feel that they're so sorry because something's happened that maybe they should have dealt with on the earth plane and didn't. I said, remember, you're beautiful human beings, and you can only take so much. And if you think about how we see ourselves, you're more likely to tell yourself how bad you are. You're more likely to, if I gave you a piece of paper and said, write down all your good things and the negative things about you, the negative list would be far longer than the positive ones, because we forget. In some ways, it's a bit like a sadist thing that we have as maybe this culture, I don't know, is that especially the British sort of like, stiff upper lip type of thing. Don't promote yourself, don't brag. And you might have been told that when you're a child, don't shine your light. You have a place, you should be in it. Children are seen and not heard. And this is what happens as we go through our life. We forget that we are beings of light. We are made of energy. And in science, if you put us in front of a sort of like a type of camera, we are light. That's what Killian photography works. With the auric field, when you have a leg amputated, the energy still resides because you can't destroy it. So this is it. We have got so much potential as beings, and every one of you has. But we've got to start taking it back and realizing that thought-body connection, not just thoughts to us, thoughts to other people, your environment, the whole world that you're in, is like, if you imagine like they're all communicable wires, and it's your Wi-Fi, isn't it, going off? We've just got to, if you turn on a radio and you're in mid-station, you get the crackle, all right, the static. That's what most of us are tuned into at the moment. What we've got to do is tune it in to hear clearly our own thoughts. So we've got to get rid of the static and just start to listen to a little bit of classic FM, all right, going throughout my morning.
Could I just come in there? Yeah. Susan put on here. There's a Serenity Prayer that I read often that might be of comfort to Corrie. She's kindly put on there, and this Serenity Prayer, I think this is the same one, Susan, that you may be talking about. Every year when I get my new diary for the year, I put this little thing in the front, and it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
And I think that might just help.
Yeah. And if I can just add, you know, and you're talking about good and bad. Yes, people love to remember and talk about the things you did wrong. They're not so keen to talk about the things you did right. And there's actually a famous quote from Shakespeare: "The good that men do in their life is oft interred with the bones. The evil lives after them." And that is true.
Yeah. And so you could do 100 great things, but people only remember the one thing you didn't do right.
You're only as good as your last record, aren't you? Yeah, as I say.
But then in saying that, Stacey, when we do platform, don't we always remember the no's? Not all the yeses. Yeah, where you get one no where somebody says, "No, I can't take that. I don't understand that," and that's the one at the end of the night when you've done the whole service and you get to the end and you go outside and you think, "She said no to that one. Why did I misinterpret that? What was it that they were trying to give me?" And then you go back over it, don't you? But we always remember the no's and not all the hundreds of yeses. Okay, so that's fine. I can take that now. Typical.
We're an odd lot, really, aren't we? I mean, to be fair, I don't know how we got on this planet because
I wasn't reading the
that's one of those things. That's one of those things. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done it.
Oh dear me.
So someone's mentioned about books on here, and I know I saw earlier up in the comments about a book club. I don't know how to input on here, but is there any way, Donna, we can put that on there? Any books or suggestions?
Donna said that she's going to put a list up afterwards.
Okay, cool.
Because I think there's some interesting reading. I think what happens is when we feel in a state of not knowing what to do, the more we feel like that, the more powerless we feel because we don't know where to start. And I think you get into this sort of like plateau stage of not being motivated, not quite knowing, and you've got all these thoughts going around. So a platform like this is great if you can just start on a book. And so I did a reading for somebody last year, and I get often sort of instincts to give books to people, and it was actually the one I mentioned earlier, Light is the New Black. And she, although I'd just had it and I'd read it, I felt that I needed to give it to this woman that I'd had the reading for. And quite lovely, I did actually get it back, and she sent me a lovely Christmas card with a little message in it saying thank you so much. It just helped her, because sometimes we can listen to information but it's still hard to process it. 10 people can tell you something, but sometimes I always think like writing stuff down or reading something, you can digest it more, even in little snippets, little workbook, little something you can do just for yourself. And what you're doing is you're starting your journey. And it doesn't matter if you go back there in a few months' time, you can start it again, because that's how wonderful we are. There's never an end to anything. We have the capability to choose to try and change the way we see the world and the way that we deal with it. So a lot of the tools and books that have been mentioned, they might be a tool for you just to get you on your journey, to give you the skills to actually say, right, I can now move forward in whatever way. That's what we're here for. I feel that we need to finish about past. So that way, because we was going to do an hour, we wasn't sure how receptive people were going to be to us chatting away. But we've been pleasantly surprised. Thank you for joining us. So is there anything else anyone would like to add while we've got the last 10 minutes? A question that anybody's got while we've
last orders before the bell rings.
Yeah, ding ding. What's last orders? I don't know what that is anymore. But I hope you've enjoyed this evening anyway. It's because we will have different chats. The idea was just to start on something positive to help you. We hope it has. But we're hoping to do this once a month. So eventually, when you get fed up of us being on here chatting, we hope to have some guest speakers maybe in the future, that maybe there'll be something that they have as a speciality that they'd like to talk about. We'd like to get on to more spiritual stuff as well, because it's all part of it, that energy and that system. But it's no good talking to spirit if you don't know how to talk to yourself first. Right?
That's a good idea.
So I just want to say, to add to the little, to the lovely quotes that you guys have contributed. I thought of one today, and I think it's attributed to Henry Ford, but I'm not sure if that's actually true or not. And it's really important because it ties in with what we're talking about tonight. And the quote is, "If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're probably right." So that's telling you the power of what you think gives it its essence. It's, if you think you can't do it, boom, you're in the room. And if you think you can, you can.
Will.
It's just such a really simple, beautiful way to remember how powerful our thoughts really are.
Yeah, and just as a like the power of prayer as well, because I read an article quite a few years ago now in the and it was actually in the Lancet medical journal, and they did a study on and it's like a double-blind study, so the people didn't know they were being prayed for, and obviously the doctors didn't know who was going to be prayed for, but they took two different groups of people with cancer, and they had one group that was being prayed for by a group of people, and then they had the other group that wasn't, and the group of people that had been prayed for actually had significantly higher better outcomes, not only in the treatment but in life as well. They sort of lasted longer, or sort of there was more remissions, things like that, than the other group. So remember, we are all like light energy. One of us is, only takes one light to light up a dark room, but together, if we put in our positive thoughts, you do your positivity for you, for out there. Imagine what our world could be like if we stop listening to the television so much and all the gloom and doom on it, and we start going back to our heart center about what we know is true, because this and our gut and our whole system will never lie to you. It's only our brain that tries to trick you in a way of doing the logical and the right thing. We need to be more creative, more inspiration. And I know it's very difficult because we have been disconnected from our loved ones, those hugs that we're used to, and the distance. It's been very, very difficult for people. But remember, thought is an energy. So when you think loving thoughts to that person, like the power of prayer, it gets there. So keep doing it, folks. And thank you, Diana. You've helped me. It was your nan's birthday, and she was clairvoyant as well. Well, she'd be coming down to sort of to get you on here. So I'm really glad. And so hopefully we'll do another one of these in a month's time, and we'll have another topic of discussion for you. So I think we're about at the end now. Is there anything? Oh, Frank, go and carry on.
I've just spotted a comment on here, so perhaps we can deal with that. Marta says, "I'd love to know the names of you lovely ladies and gentlemen. I joined halfway through and missed that bit. So can we put that right for us, you think?"
Go ahead.
I'm Frank White. I'm also known as Silver Wolf. And you can find my page of card readings on Facebook under that name. Sorry about the advert, but it explains what I'm doing.
No, power of thought, power of self-promotion. Because if you don't do it, no one else will, apart from us.
So. I'm Chris Gill. I'm on the committee at the church, obviously, and I'm a working medium.
And I'm Sam Manning. I am one of the Funders League healers, and I'm also on the committee. And I'm not Silver Wolf, but Frank is.
I just look like Silver Wolf.
Oh, let's not start with the hair already. We've already had this conversation before we went online.
I'm Stacey Frost. I'm also a committee member at the church. I'm also a medium and a therapist as well, with past life, colour therapy, and I've worked in schools and stuff like that with groups of children doing positive sort of games and things to help mindset. So I hope that's helped out, Marta, and we hope to see you again. If you'd like to join us at some, there will be also Donna will probably put out on the Thundersley site. That's our lovely Donna. Where is Donna? Is she allowed to come out the sin bin?
Yeah, pop her up
So that you can see Donna.
In the bin, Donna.
Our lovely Donna.
Go on, swap
Sally?
with me, Donna.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I'm in the background, but I'm certainly not got the face on for a video tonight. So,
She can't do it now.
thanks,
She's
guys.
probably going to get a cup of tea.
She's got a face pack on. She's got hair in rollers.
You all did amazing. Well done, Team Thundersley.
She's probably in her
and
pyjamas by now.
in the comments. Fantastic evening. But I'll leave it with all of you guys. It's quite funny, actually, sitting in the background. It's been quite enjoyable. I've interacted with people in the comments a bit more than I normally would. So thank
No,
you
she's not
all.
gonna come
Love
up.
you. Bye.
Hi.
Okay, sit right. Do we go off now, or do we? How do we end this? Because we're not the technical team here. We're the electrical team. So
Okay, guys.
We can't connect to the IT stuff.
No problem. If you just
Yeah,
all
Rob's
wave
got to
and
do
maybe
that
blow a
and cut us
kiss
off.
in the way that I do to everybody. And thank you all for watching.
Thank you so much.
See
Thank
you all on the
you.
next one. Thundersley
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
sofa.
See ya.
Yeah.
Safe, everybody. See you
Bye.
next time.
Hi.